Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, everyone. Jazakallah khair for joining us in. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we have a very special session. This is, inshallah ta'ala, our last session of our weekends with the Imams. We hope you all enjoyed the journey throughout, benefited from all the discussions we had with our various scholars and Imams. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we have a very special guest for our finale. We have our very own Mufti Aasim Rashid, our Mufti Saab, who is our teacher, our mentor, and of course, as you all know, the founder and president of our Al-Ihsan. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti Saab.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Mufti Saab?
Alhamdulillah. Well,
How's your Ramadan going?
it's Ramadan is always a big blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just an immense favor. Um, we were fortunate enough to be able to do Umrah in the beginning of Ramadan, and
MashaAllah.
then we came back and Taraweeh, and our classes resumed for about half of the month. And now I'm in I'tikaf here in Detroit, and it's a wonderful, wonderful environment. Many people have joined us as well, and making dua, may Allah Ta'ala accept it.
I mean, so we're missing you a lot over here. Everywhere we go, everyone's asking about when Mufti Saab coming down for Ramadan. We haven't had him here for so long. I tell them next year we're gonna book him for the whole month, inshallah.
Allahu Akbar. Let's see, inshallah. Inshallah, whatever Allah has planned.
Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah for taking out the time. So we've been having these sessions throughout the month of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah, we have had many of our local imams and ulama joining us, and alhamdulillah, it's been very, very fruitful and beneficial discussions. We started out just talking about how to get into the month of Ramadan, what type of goals to have, what to work towards, the do's and don'ts, or more so the don'ts and do's, what to especially stay away from during Ramadan. And then in other sessions we talked about spending and the concept of taqwa and abstaining from sins. And then in the past weeks we've gone into more of the matters of the last days of i'tikaf and al-qadr. But now, alhamdulillah, we are just less than a week away from the end of Ramadan, and Eid is just coming up, inshallah. So the main question that is on all our minds now is what's going to happen next. Every year, this is a cycle that we get into every single year, where Ramadan comes and people start doing more good things. They start abstaining from sins, and everyone has the goal and the hopes to keep that going after Ramadan. But we see that it doesn't happen. There's something missing, something people, I don't know, something they don't plan from beforehand, or a mistake they make afterhand. Can you just give us an idea of what is it all about? How can we make it different this year for once, where we don't just we started Ramadan here, we went up and we just drop straight back down and keep going where we were.
I think that's one of the most important questions that anyone can ask or think about in this blessed month. Jazakallah for for raising this and bringing it to the attention of all our brothers and sisters. I think if we understand that, and a lot of things begin with the right mindset. So let's start with developing the right mindset around this question, and that is that our deen is not a seasonal deen by nature, and our commitments to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are also not seasonal. They are they're long lasting, they're long term commitments. They are um, they are a life that we're pledging to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we say the shahada, when we say the kalima, we're actually pledging our life to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's going to be a life of obedience. And our duty and responsibility is to grow in that obedience over time. Part of our shortcoming is that we haven't really understood what true obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, which is why it always comes down to just doing a few things. And then we think that if I'm doing those few things, then I'm a very religious person. But the deen is very vast, and it helps us uh, bring bring out the best of every moment of our lives, of every situation that we're in, of every function that we carry out. We need to bring deen into all of those areas of our life. So if we understand that deen is a lifelong commitment, and that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking for, then it becomes easier to understand that seasons like Ramadan are simply here to boost our um, our ability, our capacity, and to raise our baseline. So everyone has a baseline that they're working with. For example, praying 5 times a day. All right, but what else is it that we're doing? What is our connection with the Quran, for example? How much Quran are we reading every day? For most people, it's very minimal. The Ramadan is not here so you can go all out or you can exert for 1 month and then relax for 11, but rather it's here to increase your baseline, to raise your threshold, to create in you the capacity so that you can keep reading more, not so that Ramadan comes, you read more, and then you go back to reading less or not reading at all. I'm using the recitation of Quran as an example. It's here to increase your capacity so that you can continue doing more. Maybe not at the intensity that you were in the month of Ramadan, but the increase has to be there. So our life's achievements are going to be looked at primarily in what we did regularly and as a matter of routine, and what we did without fail. And the people who were able to do things consistently will be the ones who are the most greatly rewarded. Because when we do things only seasonally, and when we are not occupying that time after that season is over, like the month of Ramadan, after that month is over, if we are not occupying that time with the deeds that we were doing in Ramadan, then the question is, what are we occupying that time with? And for most of us, what that looks like is it was our worldly activities. We're right back to it. Okay, so where did our commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala go? We might say that no, it didn't go anywhere. It's just that, that was Ramadan and I was putting in extra effort and now I need to get back to my life. But what we need to understand is no, Ramadan is here to reshape our life so we can bring more stuff into our life. And the fact that we were able to do it in Ramadan is ample proof that we can do it even after Ramadan. It's the same life. It's the same person with the same obligations and responsibilities and maybe challenges and difficulties. But what was it that enabled them to do such amazing things in Ramadan? It was their diligence, and it was a little bit of planning. And it was their resolve that, no, in the month of Ramadan, I'm going to do this, this, and this differently. Isn't it amazing? Thousands of people in every community and millions of people across the world have tawfiq to pray Taraweeh.
Mhm.
When those same people, there is a large portion of them that won't even come to pray Salatul Isha with Jama'ah during the rest of the year. What changed?
Yeah.
Right? So somebody made the intention and they made the effort. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted it and gave them the tawfiq to do it. So we have to start planning our deen as a lifelong endeavor as opposed to a seasonal thing. And the amount of care and diligence and planning that goes into Ramadan needs to be applied after Ramadan as well. In fact, that's what Ramadan is here to teach us, that hey, you can do this after as well.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
planning of Ramadan is not for Ramadan. The planning of Ramadan is for life, for the life after Ramadan.
Subhanallah.
So our commitment has to be a lifelong commitment, and our deen has to be all year round. Our commitments to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala And all of the beautiful things that we are able to do in Ramadan, they're not just for Ramadan, they're for Allah. And they are meant to become a part and parcel of our life. So, so this is the mindset first that I think we need to address. The second thing is that look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. The people of istiqamah will be welcomed and received by the malaika. And these malaika will come in a beautiful form, and they will welcome them, and they will dispel all of their worries and anxieties at the time of death. That because death is a very frightening experience, and there are so many uncertainties. What lies ahead? Like, in what condition am I going to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the response going to be like? Is an easy account going to be taken from me or a harsh one? What's my experience in the grave going to be like? Between the Quran and Hadith, everything has been laid out, but what's going to happen with me is unknown. So there's an uncertainty, there's anxiety. So the first thing the angels will tell this person is, you have nothing to fear about what's coming ahead. It's all taken care of. Who are these people? They were the people of istiqamah. It wasn't the seasonal person. It was the lifelong person. So that's the first fear, that, oh my goodness, what's going to happen with me? Angels will come right away and say, no, it's all taken care of. Okay, but what about what I've done in the past? What about my shortcomings? No, you don't have to worry about that. وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. No anxieties for what's going to come, and no worries or grief over what has passed. That's also looked after. Now is your moment. And look at the next message. Now is your moment to be happy. وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. Now is your moment to be happy. That's it. This is all about you. That Jannah that you were promised, you're going there. Enjoy it. Be happy. Yani, can you imagine the extent of the consolation? It's so much to the extent that the angels are actually telling them, it's time to be happy now. And then the angels will say something very interesting. That, that whole time where you were doing these deeds, you weren't by yourself. We were helping you. We were with you the whole time. نَحْنُ أَوْلِيَاؤُكُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. We were with you. We were supporting you. We were on your side. We were helping you do all of those difficult things in the worldly life. And we're not about to leave you now. وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. We're going to stay with you. So who is this for? It's for the people of istiqamah. And look what one hadith says. Just to demonstrate this thing that, the angels say, we were with you. One hadith says that the people of the masjid, the people who populate the masjid, make sure it's open and there's regular jama'ah going on, and they are present there physically every day with regularity. So the hadith calls them the awtad of the masjid, like the pegs of a tent. Secure the tent and keep it in place. So inna lil masajidi awtadan al malaikatu julasa'uhum. Angels sit in their company. Like that hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, that one of the people under the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, رَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ. His heart is just stuck in the masjid. Whenever he leaves, can't wait to go back. That's where he finds peace. That's his happy place. The house of Allah. That's where he likes to be. So his heart is always there, even when he's out doing things. So these are the kinds of people. Angels come and sit in their company. Al-malaikatu julasa'uhum. They're not sitting there in the masjid by themselves. Angels are sitting with them. And then إِذَا غَابُوا إِفْتَقَدُوهُم وَإِذَا كَانُوا فِي حَاجَةٍ أَعَانُوهُم. If one day, this person who is very, very regular in the masjid, if one day, for some reason, he is not able to come, the angels go looking. Where did he go? That's our friend. That's our companion. How come he's not here today for dhuhr? There must be something. Something must have come up. Maybe he's not feeling well. So these angels that are his companions in the masjid, they'll go look for him. And when they find that, oh, he got caught up in such and such thing, there's this issue he's dealing with. So إذا كانوا في حاجة أعانوهم, the angels say, let's go help him out so he can wrap things up so he can come back and sit with us in the masjid. So the angels don't tell them, look, you weren't by yourself. We were with you the whole time, and we're not going to leave your side now. This is for the people of istiqamah.
So can we build a connection here that these angels who will be giving the glad tidings to these people of istiqamah were the same angels who were, visiting them in the masajid and helping them, that staying connected to the masjid is a way to have that istiqamah.
Staying connected to the masjid is one of the most crucial things. It's like we should consider it like a lifeline for ourselves and for our family members. Because the observation is, and we've been seeing this all our lives, those who stayed attached to the masjid have stayed attached to their deen. In fact, their attachment to deen is almost proportionate to their attachment to the house of Allah. And the weaker the attachment, or let's say, the more the detachment from the house of Allah, the more aloof they are, the more absent they are, the more distant they are, proportionate to that is their detachment from deen. So one of the pledges that we must make in this month is to strengthen our commitment to the house of Allah and our presence. And for our sisters, the commitment to salah. And, when it is possible, by all means, go to the masjid, because even women feel revitalized in their iman when they go to the masjid, when they come into that environment. So from time to time, it's not an obligation on them, but from time to time, for them to go is going to refresh them. And sometimes you just need that environment. You need to see others who are in the same position as you, same challenges, same difficulties, same, things of life, but they're making the effort to stay connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need that, as human beings, we need that environment. So if the masjid is where we get that environment, then by all means, go to the masjid. For sisters and for men, we just have to be there.
Yeah. So, jumping back to the mindset you're speaking about, like, how high should a person aim? Like, when people come into Ramadan, they go full out, and like, is it reasonable to try to maintain that high after Ramadan? Like someone who wasn't praying regularly before, now in Ramadan they started praying 5 times a day, sunnah, nawafil, tahajjud, everything. Now, if after Ramadan they just stick to the 5 faraid, like that's an improvement for them from before Ramadan. But is that okay, or should they still aim for that full level that they were at in Ramadan?
Remember what I said about Ramadan is here to raise our baseline.
Yeah, the baseline.
So what's your baseline? And I'll mention to a hadith that says that inna likulli amalin shirra. Every good deed that you start, it has an initial period of excitement. There's an enthusiasm, there's a hype. وَلِكُلِّ شِرَّةٍ فَتْرَةٍ. But after that initial period of excitement, there is a lull. There's a period where the excitement isn't there, that level of enthusiasm or that level of motivation isn't there. So what is a person supposed to do? فَمَنْ كَانَتْ فَتْرَتُهُ عَلَى سُنَّتِي فَقَدْ اهْتَدَى. A person who stays on the sunnah in the period of the lull, in the period where that initial excitement and boost isn't there, this person has received hidayah. This person is rightly guided. So what we have to worry about, you don't have to worry about Ramadan as much, because Ramadan lifts you. It carries you. Those breezes of the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that are just, they're surrounding us. And that rain of His mercy is just, it's just showering upon us day and night. and the shayateen have been locked up. And, so Ramadan lifts us, but Ramadan doesn't last. But the deeds are supposed to last, even if they're not at the intensity. But what's going to be my baseline? So somebody who wasn't praying faraid before, a good place to start is that they're never going to compromise the faraid. Let's start with that. But one thing that we do know that is that you need to add layers, like, how you add layers of security for precious things. Like if you have some expensive jewelry, you're not just gonna put it inside your house in front of the door and lock the door and say, hey, it's secured because it's inside my house and the door is locked. No, even within your house, you're going to put it at a more concealed place, at a safe place where it can't be easily discovered. These are layers of protection that we add to keep our valuables safe. So there is nothing more precious in the sight of Allah in terms of all the deeds. There's nothing more precious in the sight of Allah than the fara'id. Now, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about the fara'id? Like salah, حافظوا على الصلوات والذين هم على صلواتهم يحافظون. They're not just offering salah, they're guarding it. Okay, so how do you guard it? Well, how do you guard your jewelry? You don't leave it on your doorstep and say, hey, this is private property. No one should come here. You don't keep it inside the door and leave the door open. You don't even leave it inside with the door locked. You put it somewhere where a thief can't even see it. So now adding layers of protection for if I need to maintain that faridah. Remember, shaitan is the thief. He is there to steal our deeds. So what layers of protection can I bring to my salah so that this thief can't access it? If all I have is the fard, if all I have is the 4 fara'id, where's the layers of protection? Shaitan can make a direct attack and steal those away from me. So I'm going to offer sunan before and after if they apply, and I'm going to do extra stuff like go and pray in jama'ah. I'm going to add all of these layers of protection because now shaitan's going to have to go through all of these before he can get to my fard. And I'm not going to make it easy for him. So everyone needs to think about, okay, these deeds are my most valuable treasure. Like this is what I'm going to present to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. I cannot afford to compromise it. So, that famous saying of Imam Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak rahimahullah, he says that man tahawana bil adabi uqiba bi hirmani as-sunan. A person who does not pay attention to or is negligent in etiquettes, then the outcome for that person is that they end up being deprived of sunnahs. And the person who is negligent in the sunnah is going to be reprimanded by being deprived of the wajibat of the fara'id. And a person who is careless in the fara'id ends up losing their faith, their recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala altogether. So let's look at what we were doing before. Hopefully, we'll find some really good stuff there. Improving what we were already doing. And let's look at what we weren't doing and let's try to bring those into our life. Mm-hmm. So to protect what we have and enhance it, and then bring new practices, good things. And remember, it's not just about acts of worship. Which akhlaq were we missing? Which ethics and morals were we compromising before? Let's hold ourselves to account for those and make the changes. And inshallah, good things will keep coming. It's not possible that a person wants to make good changes in their life and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't help them. It's not possible. And it's not possible that a person is trying to become a better person and then they become a failure. It's not possible. As
SubhanAllah.
long as we are on this path of self improvement and bringing our lives to be closer to Allah and closer to what Allah wants us to be, this is the path of success.
SubhanAllah. Jazakallah Mufti Sahab, that makes it very clear and very. I think what you're trying to stress is that a person needs to put themselves on that path. They want to like have that resolve to make that to have a change moving forward. Right? And inshallah, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will make it easier that way. Um, Jazakallah Mufti Sahab. Mufti Sahab, we're just in our last few days now of Ramadan. Any parting advices? How anything people should focus on the most in these last few days?
Um, Obviously, increase your ibadah, increase your du'as, um, increase the usage of the night and all other occasions when dua is accepted. I mean, dua of the fasting person, the whole day their dua is accepted.
Hmm.
So we should really be, capitalizing on this. At every moment of the day, the fasting person's dua is accepted. So which duas am I making, and who am I making for? And when we make dua, let's open up our hearts to include everyone in the ummah. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer our call for ourselves, for our own needs and difficulties. But when we start making dua for other people, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appoints an angel to make dua for us. So include everyone in your duas. Like if you are sick, may Allah give you good health. But if you make dua for all the sick people in the ummah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appoints angels to make dua for you specifically. Make
SubhanAllah.
dua for all of those who are troubled, all of those who are distressed, all of those who are facing some kind of difficulty, maybe in their marriage, maybe with their children, maybe with their parents, maybe with their finances, maybe with some other situation. Make dua for everyone. And the first thing that will happen is your problems will be solved.
SubhanAllah. That's the perfect recipe. So when you make dua for someone else, that's guaranteed to be accepted. And then angels make dua for you, so that's guaranteed to be accepted as well. It's
Yeah,
just,
there's a joke about that, but I won't say it because some people might take offense. One husband was making dua for his friend, and it didn't go down too well with his wife. But anyways, so that's one thing. Definitely make a lot of dua, sincere tawbah and istighfar over and over and over again. And even when we ask forgiveness, we should ask forgiveness for the whole ummah. When we ask for maghfirah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive the whole ummah. We all need Allah's help and His forgiveness and His mercy right now. So include everyone, even in your dua for forgiveness. And um, especially when we're at this crucial time, when the month of Ramadan is coming to a close, we should let go of all unnecessary activities. And for us, the biggest challenge is like these guys here, right? Just scrolling because we're so accustomed to it. It's so habitual for us to do that. We need to let go of that. Just going through our feed, just going through random messages, you know, it's not restricted to the usage of your device. I'm saying that's one of the things that, because it's one of the things that keeps us distracted, and it uses up so much of our, what we call like dead time, right? It uses up all of that time. But even though what we don't realize is there's no such thing as dead time.
SubhanAllah.
Time is what our life is about. Killing our time is killing ourselves. So in that time, how much dhikr we could have done. One subhanallah might be the differentiating factor between entering Jannah or not.
Allahu Akbar.
And how many subhanallahs did we miss just because we were looking at something that was of no benefit? I'm talking about the stuff that is of no benefit to us. And some people, no, I like going on my social feed. I get lots of nice reminders and this and that. There's a time and a place for that. Right now, busy yourself in your own amal. You had all year to look at your reminders. Now do something. Now also when it's time to make dua, I'm going through reminders. Time to do dhikr, I'm looking at reminders. And Allah knows what else you're looking at, because it's not in your control.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff coming your way. So let go of all unnecessary discussions, activities, Don't wander about in the marketplaces unnecessarily. Go if you have to, do what you need to do, but cut it short. Get back into the masjid, and you know, get back in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and maximize your time for amal salihah, recitation of Quran, extra salawat, making up for missed salawat if you have those, making dua, dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fill up your time as much as you can, and beware of those times when the gains are potentially huge, but we just let it go, like the time before Maghrib. It's a very special time between Asr and Maghrib. And, are we seriously going to keep our sisters, our women folk busy in the kitchen at that time when they could also be making dua? Can we simplify our food and our food requirements so that they also are able to get the maximum worship into their day and into their night? So make things easier for ourselves, make things easier for others. As I said, let go of all unnecessary things. This is not the time to be going to parties, iftar parties, they call them. It's like, okay, what does that even mean? You know,
Mm.
um, it's a time for just let's make it all about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and beg Him for the ability to make better choices about what comes after Ramadan, and beg Him for that istiqamah, and make this is the time to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, I want to do this. Allah, I'm weak in this. I've tried this many times. I've failed. I need your help. Allah, I'm no good at this. Allah, I need your assistance in this. Talk to Him. Tell Him your problems.
Jazakum Mufti Sahab. I think the summary of what you just said is cut down on the samosas and the fried food at the time, at least for the last few days, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Mufti Sahab. I don't know about anyone else, but I really benefited from your advices, and truly enjoyed having you with us for this finale. And please keep us in your du'as as well in these closing days of Ramadan. And Jazakallah khair to everyone else who has been with us throughout this journey, through all 8 sessions we had in Ramadan. We really enjoyed having you with us. We hope you benefited immensely. Inshallah, we will keep this going after Ramadan in somewhat of a different form. So stay tuned for that, inshallah ta'ala. And a request from everyone to keep us in your du'as as well. We don't know whose du'as can be accepted at what time, in what format, for what reason. So like as Mufti Sahib mentioned, like keep the entire ummah, make dua for the needs of the entire ummah in every form, every chance you get, and inshallah we can put in that extra boost to end this month in the best way and take some of that with us forward throughout the next year, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah khair, Mufti Sab, again for taking out the time,
Barakallah.
especially through itikaf and everything. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you immensely.
I mean, you as well. Keep me in your du'as also.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa
Assalamu
rahmatullah.
alaikum.